All right, good morning, everybody. Today, all right, that was where I started with those guys yesterday. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what you told me.
And what, Kufav?
Kuv
Zayin. Okay, perfect.
That's what they love.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah, great. All right. So yeah, we're at the Kuv Zayin base, two lines at the top. Tashma, come listen. Hayavama. So we had a machlokes earlier regarding between Rav and Shmuel, which began from a case of somebody going to Medina Sayyam, and they did not provide any sort of meal plan, support for the wife. So Rav says, so there's a whole machlokes in the Mishnah about should make a shvur or not, but Rav says, we go ahead and we arrange for money. However, when it comes to Shmuel, he says, "Ein paiskim mizonos." No, we don't allow her because perhaps we had two reasons. Perhaps either he gave her money before, or they made a deal together, basically that he wouldn't support her and she would keep her wages. So now we've had multiple questions on Shmuel, and now the Gemara comes to continue that. So two lines on top of Kuf Zayin on base. Tashma, come and listen. So a woman whose husband died and she's waiting for Yibum. So the first 3 months, he says, Michelle Baila. She goes ahead and she's supported from her husband's estate, her deceased husband. However, in the Zenes, not from her husband, or from the Yavam, right? Her brother-in-law, who's she's waiting for Yibum from. Ahmad the din, if they go to court and she basically says, hey, either Yibum me or Chalitza me, right? Either perform Yibum or Chalitza, Ahmad the din, Ubarach, then he runs away. Michelle Yavam. Then we go ahead and we take from the Yavam. So you see over here that you do go into the estate and take. So the Ma'anicha. So yeah, it says the one in court. The one in court. The brother ran away. So we take from him. So Shmuel, I see you go into the estate and take from the husband who's supposed to support. So Shmuel, the Ma'anicha, I understand. What are you concerned about? Lahai. If you're worried, in other words, that this Yavam basically maybe gave her money on the side, and that's why we don't take a right? He was never married to her, he was never close to her, he would never assume that he would have given her anything. And and if it's because they made a deal that her Ma'aseh goes him and he supports, then she supports herself. So her Ma'aseh aren't supposed to go subject to go to him anyway as the Yavam. So, or as a woman who's a Shemeres Yam. So therefore, in this case, that's the reason why we take Shmuel says this case is different. So Tashma, come on, listen. A woman that she and her husband went to Miyasiyam, she returned and she says, Gamra, Mace Bali, my husband died. So Rasta Nizainas, if she wants, she can go ahead and support herself in the estate like any other, like a widow. And Rasta Gavik Sawasa, or she can take Suba and be done with it. If she says Gershani, they went overseas, she comes back to town by herself. She says, by the way, he divorced me. Gershani Bali. Miss Parnas says, ad kedek subasa. She can go ahead and take up until her ksuba. So what do you see over here? Well, you see over here that she's allowed to go ahead and take support up until the amount of her ksuba. So you see that you can go ahead and take support. So my answer is when they heard he died, that's the reason. Since and first he divorced me and then he died, so therefore she's able to go ahead and collect her ksuba.
Why is she believed when she says give her time?
She's believed only to the point that he divorced her, right?
Because she's believed if she says baseball.
Correct.
But
so
why is
either way she
so the Gabe the Mazonos.
But she's only in that time.
Oh, so the Gabe the Mazonos. So if one second. If they're married, does he have to support her?
No.
If they're married, does he have to support her?
If he's married.
Exactly. If he divorced her, does he owe her anything? Suba. Yeah. So therefore we say, take money for your mazonos up until the value of your ksuba. Right? We don't believe her to the point that she can go ahead and marry somebody else. We're just talking about mazonos. but we see over here that we take the assets.
That's right.
So we said no. The reason why over here we don't just seize the assets. The reason is because we already made. He died, right? So Maishna ad ksuvas. So what's about the ksuva? He see that. So now, why only up until ksuva if she died? She go ahead and be able to support from the estate, right? She says he divorced me and then he died. She should be able. So we said no because that's an asha. Right, she basically hurt herself by saying that he divorced me. She's basically admitting that she wouldn't get any other mazonos beyond that. So Tashmakim, listen, how do we say what's the situation of when a girl does me and does that mazonos? So that case, when a girl she's made off either by her mother or older brother, so you can't say that a woman who now in this case really has potential to do miyun, right? Doesn't get mazonos. If she's still married to him, then he's obligated to go ahead and support her. Ella, rather, what's the case? She's 10 years old. Her husband goes out to Minasiyam. Loves she borrows money for Achlan eats, and then he returns. Amdan, she says basically Miyana, she does miyun. So now she does miyun at this point in time, basically nullifies the marriage. And in this case, basically, she doesn't get her money back, even though she borrowed money during the marriage because she basically did miyun and had no marriage. Now, Tama the miyana sounds like the only reason is that she can't get her money back is the miyana because she did miyun. But she didn't do miyun. Gavin alone, we should go ahead and give her support, and we should be able to seize the assets against Shmuel. So, what are you concerned here? If he gave her, we were concerned that he gave money aside. A person doesn't go ahead and give a katana, right? She's not able to watch over her assets, so you wouldn't give her money here. And if it's because of her wages, that was a deal. So therefore, it's not. It would not cover it. So my haviyala. No. So what's the maskana? We're on Kuf Zayin on the base, smack in the middle. So my haviyala. So kiyas Rav Dimi Amar Ma'isa Bolifnei Rabbi Beisharon Tavis Ma'isa for Berin Beisharon. The pasuk of Misanis he says, go ahead if a husband goes overseas and he's not around to support her, go ahead and take Misanis from his estate. And then Lifnei Rabbi Yishua B'Tzipari, and then the same Ma'isa also happened to Rabbi Yishua and Tzipari. The late pasuk of Misanis, and they did not give her Misanis. So Tiba Rabbi he wondered about this psak. Why did you not reward her Misanis? They're not arguing the Mishnah. Rather, only if she makes a shvua when she takes the Misanis. But everyone agrees in the Mishnah that he has to go ahead and support her. Just questions whether she makes a shvua or not. Some of them have Shimon Barabba. No, it was already explained in this Mishnah. The Bavel Kshishava Shemas. You're explaining Bavel. What's this time out? If it was reported that he died, that's when we're talking about does she take for parnas or the shvur or not. But in a regular case, we're going to go ahead and take. And Amarle Pasrisu Ba Chulihai says you explained the Mishnah to such an extent. It's a big daichak. And Kiyas. So Kiyas Rabin says Amar Ma'aseh Olifnei Rabbi says is similar but not the opposite case. She said Amar Ma'aseh, but what happened was the Ma'aseh was Olifnei Rabbi Beisharon. The price came from Rabbi Beisharon. The loy pasuk l'mazanos, and he was the one who did not give her mazanos, like Rabbi Shimon Tzipori and Rabbi Shimon Tzipori. Upasuk l'mazanos. Yeah, I'll take 8 ounces. Right? Upasuk l'Tzipori. You did. I had to get rolling. Yeah. So
I'm only asking because he's a professional.
I understand. I was still. Come on, woke me up. And then it came for Rabbi Shmuel, and he says, "No, you don't need mazon. You don't give him mazon." So Rabbi Yechon, Rabbi Shalei pasuk mazon. I read why you make mazon. The holiday that Chanam b'nei Kohanim gedolim in shvua. The only machlokes is whether you make a shvua what she takes. But everyone agrees she takes about mazonos. Yeah, we do give her mazonos. Some of the Rav Shimon Barabba, Kfar Tigla, and Shmuel. Once again, Shmuel explained the Bavel. Sheshama B'Shemeis. The Aram Mishnah was talking about a case after they heard that the husband died overseas. Then how does she go ahead and take mazonos with or without a shvua? But everyone agrees she takes mazonos. And Summer Light, so he said to him, right? You can see, you've explained the Mishnah, it's a bit of a stretch, but I guess that's how you explain it. Bahilchasa, Kavase, to Rab, the halacha is like Rab, Upaiskin, Mazainas, Le'eshes Ish. We go ahead and give them some stage cease. And so, in another case, the Rav Huna Marav, and Rav Huna Marav, Rav Huna Marav, Yichala Isha Shetem LaBala, who can take her husband, Eini Nezainas, I do not need your support, Ve'eni Aisa, and I will not give you my wages. She can make that deal with him. And the Hilchas another halach kavasei to Rav Zvid, Bekunya Damarav Zvid. So he said there, Hani Mani Tekunya. This is something to do with our Gemara, but these certain vessels, ceramic pottery, right? The chiyura, the ichloy, sharu, the white ones and the black ones, those are completely sealed, and therefore they don't absorb any sort of other flavors. And however, yeruka asir, but the green, those are a bit more porous. Those are also. But Amron Ella the less kartufani only if there's no cracks. Well, Isa kartufani, but if there are cracks, even the white and black ones, then asiri. Then those are also when it comes to chametz Pesach, or of the chavim or wine yain Pesach. Those cases, because those materials are porous, and especially if they have cracks, they would not be good. Fine. Zak Mishnah. Misha.
We only brought this last piece in because
I think they're passing halachas, correct? Yeah.
Stuff that.
Oh, this was Rav Zvid, but yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to the Mishnah. This is the Shmak case. Misha halach l'medinas hayam. Guy goes overseas. The Ahmad, and somebody being a nice guy. Yigal came in, he'll be a nice guy, he'll be our nice guy in the situation. So I go out of the country for a long voyage. Yigal says, you know what? Your wife is not being supported, so I will go ahead and here's money for, use my account at Shallis. Chanan Aimer, even as Ma'isaf, says Chanan, he has lost his money. Now, even though I have an obligation to go ahead and support my wife, I never told him to go ahead and pay it, and therefore, he's basically lost his money. And Nechgulav B'nei Kohanim Gedolim, however, the B'nei Kohanim Gedolim argue, B'amru, Yishro Kama Haitzi V'yito. Now, make a shvua, how much he spent, Yigal will make a shvua, the bill at the Shallis was $522 because she was there twice, right? So, and therefore, he makes that shvua, and therefore he collects.
There was an expectation on his part.
Actually, it's not
Right. So he was never told to do it. Yeah.
You don't even know where it's going
He
to
was never told to do it, but somehow he had an expectation.
Right. Correct. I was overseas. He had no idea.
I'm blown by that.
So, and Amar Rav Daisi, then here gonna K'divrayim, he's like the halachas is like them that he can make the. I'm sorry. Whatever the standard Mizonos is, right? Obviously not. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That means shouts of it. So maybe. Yeah. Sarah's 10. Yeah. Sarah's 10. So they say very easy. Amar Rav Yechim and Zak. Rav Yechim and Zak says no. Yafel Bar Chanan hiniach ma'asav al keretzvi. No. Chanan said good. Basically, him going ahead and paying without the word of the husband is basically like putting money on the horns of a deer, and obviously that money will be lost. So Taran Hasam Zakta Gemara, so we learned in the Mishnah there says Hamayder Hana Mechavero. If I go ahead and I make a shvu, I'm not going to get any hana from his friend, from Yigal. We'll do the same case because this is we're going to bring it back in. So I make so I get upset, but he bought all the kibudim and Simchas Torah. I was very upset, so therefore he got angry and I made a nether against him. Shekel Shigla, nevertheless, Yigal can go ahead and pay by machzis a shekel. I'm not considered to be directly getting benefit from him doing that. I will explain these cases. Next case, Upares Chayvo. I borrow money from Levi, borrow $100. If Yigal pays that back, it's not considered that I am getting hana, right? I didn't tell him to. He just paid him back. Well, if I lose something, he returns a lost object. It's also not considered to be getting direct hana from him. But let's say it was a place where normally people who go ahead and return lost objects get paid for their time, like it's jury duty, right? You get $17.20 for returning lost objects for your time. Thank you for spending all day looking for it. Then you found it. Here's your $17.20. So then that money has to go to Hektish, right? And the Rashi explains we're talking about a scenario where both of the two people make a nether from each other, because if it's something there's no wages, so not directly not. If there is something a wage, so now let's say he returns the object to me. Okay, so if I pay him $17, so now he's getting hana for me because he just earned $17 to me. If I don't pay him $17, so now I'm getting rewarded for $17. I just got something for free, which is normally costs money. So therefore, so I can't just he can't just say don't pay me, because then I'm getting hana from him. So what happens? Here I have to write a check for $17, but instead of giving it to you, I give it to Hektish. So therefore, you're not getting hana from me because I didn't pay you, and I'm not getting hana from you because it wasn't a free service of returning my lost object. But fine, that's the case this side. Now, let's go back to the other two cases. I understand if Yigal wants to go ahead, back to the case where I made a nether not to get hana from Yigal, he can go ahead and pay my max as a shekel. Why? Mitzvah kovin. He's just doing a mitzvah. He's not benefiting me. Why? The tonight we learned in the Mishnah, when they go ahead and they take the collection, they go ahead and they withdraw the money. They do it a couple times a year. So they do in the beginning of the year. So all the monies have been collected. So everybody is included, even if I didn't give money, even if my money was lost, even if I'm just part of the cloud. So therefore, I'm already covered by the max of shekel. So therefore, that which he paid for me, I'm not directly benefiting from him. So therefore, he's able to go ahead and pay my max of shekel. But now here's the case they bring in. Oh no, not yet, right? And also max mitzvah. Also the maxer, he's doing a mitzvah, right? He's doing a mitzvah. He's doing hashavas reita. He's not going ahead. He's returning my object, and I'm not getting direct benefit from. Ela for his chayvo. Understand? How could he go ahead and pay back my $100? He's for me to Levi. He's benefiting me. I haka mishtar shile. He's giving me hana. Some Rav Yishia Hamani. Who is this? This must be Chanani. This must be Chanan of our Mishnah. Damar even as Ma'isa. He lost his money. In other words, like this. According to our Mishnah, if Yigal went ahead and paid for Mazanos for my wife, so he loses his money. Why? I don't have to pay him back, so therefore I'm not getting, right? There's no hana. So too over here, right? In this case, right? Or not that I get hana, but I don't owe him money. I don't owe him money in that case. So it's over here. If Yigal goes ahead and pays Levi, right? So he can't. In this case, right? He's not. He loses money. I don't have to go ahead and pay him back. So therefore, you didn't do anything for me. Right? So there's no case there. Even as Ma'isa. So the Rava Omar, Afilu Tema Rabbanan, even as the Rabbanan. Hacha b'mayaskinan shaloiva almana shloifra. That which, in this case, we're not talking about a regular loan case, right? If it's a regular loan case, right, and he pays him back, so therefore he didn't benefit me because I don't have to, in this case, right? According to Chanan, it says no. Even according to the opinion, it says that I have to go ahead and pay him back. Therefore, he did benefit me, right? Over here, we're talking about a case where I borrowed money from Levi, and the issue was I'm going to try and pay you back, but I don't have to. So therefore, that which you went ahead and paid my loan, right? You didn't give me any sort of benefit.
Actually made it worse because now you have to pay it back.
What?
Now you have to pay Yigal back. So actually, he made it worse.
In this case, right? In this case, right? So he paid him back, and therefore I'm not benefiting from him because I didn't.
Levi wasn't going
to. The deal was I'm going to try to pay back. I might not pay you back. You ever give a loan to somebody you know you're not really going to get paid back? It's called a loan, right? So that's what this was. Because Levi was speaking to Alan. Our team finally lost.
Talk about the other Alan.
Yeah, that's right. Now, Bishlama Rava Lo'ama Karavaisha. I understand why Rava didn't say like Ravaisha because he wanted to do a scenario where we hold like the Rabbanan, and therefore in this case, he didn't do any good because I didn't have to pay back in the first place, and now that you paid, now it was bad for me. El Rav Oshia, my time lo amak Rav. So why did Rav Oshia say and not say like Rav? So Rav Oshia, no. Why did he say the Rav? We're talking about that case, right? So he says Nehi Dahana Leslie. Okay, there is no actual money, right? That he went ahead and benefited from the paying back. However, Kisufa mi Leslie, right? There's embarrassment, right? You don't want to go to the same meeting to him. So therefore, there was one on that case. There is on that case, right? And Asanami, he's like, right?
You don't have to look at his face and say,
I can
"Oh,
go
he
ahead and
gave me
face
money."
another guy. Now I owe him money. So therefore, in that case, he is benefiting me by going ahead and paying it back. So therefore, since he's benefiting me in that case, so therefore, it's considered that case that he has benefited me, even though I didn't have to pay him back. But now I can show my face in public, and therefore that's the reason why he didn't want to establish that case like that. Therefore, he wants to say, "Oh no, we go like Hanan that says that if he goes ahead and pays it back, so that has nothing to do with me. I never told you to go ahead and pay him. Therefore, I don't owe you any money, and therefore you didn't directly benefit me." Now that was all Hanan. So if you recall, the beginning of the parak, we said there were two Dayani Xeros, right? Hanan ben Avishalom, I think. Hanan Mitzri was the other Hanan, yeah. And Admon. So we did the two, Hanan did two, Admon did seven. Now let's see the seven. So Admon, Shiva, he said seven, Misha Beis Viniach Banu Banos Bisman, Misha Viniach Banu Banos. A guy was his children and he died. Now, if he has a very large estate, so Habanim Yoshin, so the sons go ahead and inherit the estate. And the daughters go ahead and they sustain themselves from the estate. However, if he had a meager estate, it wasn't enough for both. So the daughters inherited, and the sons got to go ahead and hit the road and knock on doors. However, Admon Oimer, no, just because I'm male, I lose out. So Rav Gamliel says, Rav Gamliel, I agree with the opinion of Admon. So Zak the Gemara, so my Kamar, what's he saying? He says, Shani Zachar, Rabbi Havi Kamar, Bishil Shani Zachar, Barila Sakatari Sarti. What before, because I'm male and I'm fit to go ahead on the Torah, I've lost out. So Rabbi doesn't understand it. It's shaychus. So man does the Torah who the Yoris, man asking Torah lo Yoris. Understand? So one learns Torah, he does inherit. One doesn't learn Torah, he doesn't inherit. El Rabbi Afrika is meant to say B'shil sheni zachar v'roi liirish b'chasim merubit yisati b'nechasim muatim. If it was the case of a large estate, so the males are in a better position, right? They inherit the entire estate. They just had to pay for the mazonos, right? But now in this case, it was meager. You're treating them worse, right? They shouldn't be any worse than the daughter, right? Because he is in a good position in that case. So what if he loses out? Rather, says Admon, they should be equal, right? Doesn't just mean that the males are kicked to the curb and not the females. Rather, they should all be in the same boat. Why should they lose out in this case to be in a worse position?
Gender discrimination.
Yeah.
So what do we say with regards to the daughters?
So they should be in the same position in case of nechasim. Half and right. In other words, whatever. Yeah, they're all treated equally. Now, next case. I don't know. Not sure.
Kosset says he's not even arguing on the Tanakama. He's just saying, what's it called? He's just saying, I can't believe this is the way it is. He's not arguing.
The whole Gemara on number base, like all the stuff and everything.
What was that?
All the sugyas on number base, the Hilchos stuff, it's like grabbing on the other.
That's what, yeah.
Some things you said, how do we pass it? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Right over here. Yeah. So let's see. Let's go into these things. So, Zak the Mishnah, Hatoynes Chaveiro. Now, one of those that makes a claim from his friend. Kade Shemen. So he claims from him, right, jars of oil. Right, the height of a kankanim, and then he admits to him kankanim, which basically are the same thing as jars, but smaller ones, right? Smaller jars. So he says, "Hey, you had 5 large jars of oil," and the guy admits, "No, I only owe you a couple of empty jars.
Not the oil.
Only a couple of empty jars." Since the case of Ma'adim Mixes, past case of Ma'adim Mixes, I claim Avrami says, "Hey, Yoel, you owe me. I lent you $100 because he's the cash man." And I said, "Yeah, I owe you, but I only owe you $50." So we're worried that I would never really deny him completely to his face. So therefore, I'm gonna have to admit something, but I don't want to admit it all because I don't have all the money. So basically, a person says, "Oh, I owe you 50." So therefore, you go ahead and use 50, and then swear that you don't owe him the other 50, and therefore they'll usually come to the truth. Over here in this case, right? So he's saying basically jars and oil. We'll soon see what this claim exactly is. The Gemara is going to go through. And then it seems to be his understanding that he's only admitting the jars, and that's like the mixes, and therefore Yishava. It's not the same, right? Jars and oil is, you know what mud mixes jars and oils is? If I lent you 5 jars or 10 jars of oil, and you say no, it's only 5 jars of oil, that's mud mixes, but not this case. And Rabban Gamliel, once again, Rabban Gamliel says, I agree with the opinion of Adam. So Zak the Gemara, so Shmami no Rabbana, let's learn from the Rabbana. Satainu chitin v'sayrin. Let's get in this case. One goes out and claims, "Hey, you borrowed from me wheat and barley." And then he admits to the barley putter. He does not have to go ahead and make a shvuah because that's not what it mixes. So this case, he was putter because he didn't say, "Yes, I borrowed just a lesser amount of barley and wheat." He just said, "Yeah, I borrowed barley and not wheat." So that's not case of mother mixes. So let me do to Yufta, the Rav Nachman Shmuel says, "Kashan Rav Nachman Shmuel, the Rav Nachman Shmuel, Tana Chitim Sari." One who goes ahead and makes a claim of wheat and barley, but he only admits to, let's say, the barley, Chayiv, then he's Chayiv in the Shmuel. So Rav Yehuda Marav, no. The Tanu Mida over there. So says Rav Yehuda Marav, no. Our case is talking about a midah. When he says a jar of oil, that's a value, right? A gallon of milk is not good, right? A can of pop, right, is 12 ounces, right? So you say can of pop, right? So over here, he basically is describing, right? He's describing the volume. In other words, the claim is just oil, and the hodah is just the jar, nothing to do with the oil. And the claim was the oil, nothing to do with the jar. If that's the case, my time with the Adlon. So if that's the case, what's the sort of Adlon, right? It's apples and oranges, literally, or not literally. It's jars and oil, literally, right? So Rava Kuliyama, no. Kuliyama Echadamer Le Male Asara Kade Shemen Yeshi Beborcha. If the guy says to him, quote, right, 10 jars full. I have 10 jars full of oil, right, in your bore, in your pit, in your barrels, whatever. Shemen Katayin Le, right? He says, right, 10 glassfuls or 10 jarfuls of oil in your pit, right? So he's claiming the oil, and but Katayin like he's not claiming that case any sort of jars, right? Just the oil. So that's a claim of oil. Asara Kadesh if he says not in your pit, but he just says I have 10 jars of oil by you. So right, not in your pit, because the pit means it's all mixed together without the jars, right? If he says I just have 10, right, 10 jars of oil. Then that case he's claiming both oil and kakana. So keep leading you into the argue. Right? So he said, no, when did they argue? When he says to him, I have 10 Kadesh Shemen Yesh Li Etzlecha. I have 10 jars of oil by you. Ad B'La'in Yesh B'Lashon Hazeh, Yesh B'Lashon Hazeh, Lashon Ganon. Within this of Asara Kadesh Shemen implies not only oil, but also the jars. It's not the jars. So okay, so it sounds like the Rabbanan hold. Okay, so that's pashut. Does this imply that he's claiming oil and jars, and the guy admits to jars, or he's claiming oil and the guy is admitting to jars? So, but it sounds like if the reason is the lashon says only was if it was jars, but if it was within their in other words, according to the Rabbanan, if it was the guy who's claiming you have of mine oil and jars. and then he admits to only the jars, so chayiv. So then he be chayiv to go ahead and make a shvua. That's mother mixes. The opposite sheet. The one who goes admit. He claims from somebody else wheat and barley. He only admits to one of them. Putter, and he's putter in that case. Why? Because the hodah wasn't of both. But over here, you just said if you claim oil and jars, and you only admit to the jars, the Rabbanan would agree to mother mixes, right? So why is this putter for mother in case of mother mixes? So Rashi Nasa Kimi, excuse me, Shetaina Riman Klippasai. It's like a person who makes a claim to somebody else, right, of a pomegranate and its peel, right, which is really one, right? So if you just say, hey, there was a pomegranate and peel, and says, no, I just had, the pomegranate, but he denied the peel, right? It was cut up, it was the seeds, the inner part. I didn't borrow the whole thing; it was just the inner part, right? So then it's that's mother mixes, right? Because it's one thing. Right? If I claim for you, hey, you have pomegranate in mine, no, I just had the insides of it, but he denies the outside. That's not a denial of completely the outside. It's really all the same thing, right? So to over here, oil, right, and glass. That's how it comes together. It's all in one. So Mar says, wait, that's not good. So it's I understand. Masker Ravina, Riman.
He's really talking about volume. He's not talking about.
No. This case he would do both. This is the oil and the volume of that. That was the case of the volume. They all agree. Over here, there's the implication of wine and of oil and the jar. And the question is, by him admitting to just the jars, is the oil and jar one item, and he's only admitting to part of the item of just the jar. But Masker Ravina, Rima Kipasa, it's not the same. A pomegranate, you can't be without a peel, but you can have oil without jars. It's not one item. Yeah, it's not a good comparison. Right. Ella, what? Put in a Ziploc. I don't know. So Ella, he tells him, you have 10 jars of oil by you. Oil, that never happened. And even the jars that you're claiming from me, Nami, Chamisha Islacha, Chamisha Leslacha. It is only 5. So now here's the new case of Machlekes. He claims from him 10 jars of oil and jars. He's saying, first of all, the oil never happened. And it was just jars, but there's only 5 of them, not 10. Therefore, so Adnan says when he says 10 jars of oil, it implies that's the oil and the jars, and therefore yesh and therefore he's admitting to 5 the kankanim. And since he's mother mixes the amount of jars, then therefore he also makes a shvua on the oil, even though he's denying the oil flat out. But since he's chayv mother mixes because the guy is claiming 10 jars and I'm admitting to 5 jars, so therefore I have to make a shvua on the other 5 jars that I don't owe it. And since I'm already making a shvua, we can make him also, hey, since you're already swearing, also swear that you owe no oil. Rabbanan Sabri, he says, hey, you have 10 jars of oil of mine. That only implies the oil itself, but not the jars. And the guy's admitting there's no oil and there's 5 jars. In such a case, therefore, what he's claiming from him, i.e., the volume of 10 jars of oil, he's not admitting to any oil at all. And then he's saying, no, I owe you 5 jars, which is not something that was being claimed of him. So therefore, it's not a case of mixes. Therefore, he would be pater from making a shvua. Fine. One who goes ahead. Mishnah, bottom line of Kuchas on the base. Yeah, turn the page. So one who goes ahead and he pledges money to his son-in-law. I guess they even after the Erisin. And then the father says, yeah, take a hike, right? Take a hike. I'm not giving you any more.
We see it every day.
So Teishev, he could say, you know what? Daddy's not giving me anything. I'm not going to go ahead and marry you, right? You can go ahead and, you can be in a guna, right? Whatever it is, right? It doesn't bother me. Wait until you're headed because your father promised that. Admon comes in Admon says, no, she can go ahead and say, if
she's married.
she just did Arison.
Oh,
just Arison, right?
Big difference.
Yeah. So Admon says, no, she can say, if I was the one who promised you, then then yeah, it'd be on me, and I should be expected to sit and wait till I come up with the money like I promised. However, right? But it is my father didn't right? Like kindness of Potter, right? Either go ahead and knice me and marry me, or free me and get me out of here. But it's not fair what you do it to me because it wasn't me, it was my father. Yeah. Says I agree with the opinion of Ad. Fine. Zakt Gemara, Masnis and Delay Kiaitana, Armish is like this Tana Tani with an Brisa. Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Yehuda, if the father goes ahead and pledges money to his son-in-law, and he says, you know what, forget about it, kiss my feet, eat my shorts, whatever he says, right? Right? She said, right? So it was my father, not me. So what is the machlekes between, in the case of the Mishnah? Al Shapaska, when she herself is the one who has made a psak. Al Atzma. That she should go ahead. She made the promise, so therefore she should go ahead and wait because it's on her. And Adman says, no, even in this case, she could take a spur. I thought that my father would, help me out. He's a wealthy man. He would have given me some money. I would have brought that money. But I didn't give me. What can I do? I kind of a butter. Either go ahead and marry me or set me free. And on that, and on that says I agree with the opinion of Ad. We're only talking about a Gedela, but if she was a Ketana, Kaifin, then we do go ahead and force. So this is a force. So Laman. If we're talking about you force the father, right? Then it should be the opposite. In other words, if the words of a katana, why are we forcing? Maybe if the words of gedola, we should force. But the words of katana didn't mean anything. She's 10 years old, right? And she's promising money, so we just ignore her. It should be the opposite. Rather, we forced us to go ahead and give a get. And Amar Ben Elazar Bishmei Chizka Kol Makom Sha'amar and Gamliel. This is what you're referring to before. Roya Ni Es Divrei Admon, which is basically the last three Mishnayos we had, where Gamliel comes in at the end and says, "I agree with Admon." Right. So anytime it says halacha kamais, so the halacha is like so. Amar Le Rav Nachman Afi Leva Brisa says. So he says to him. Even in Bryce's where it says Amarle mi kamrina b'Mishnah. Did I say Mishnah? Any place Shamar Rabbi Gamliel kamrina. Any place where it says that the Rayani is from Gamliel, that's what we agree with. And Amrab Zera Amar Rabba Bar Yirmiyah based Dvarim Shamar Chanan halach kiyet sibo. The two halachas that Chanan said, and that was the two first ones, which were when the husband goes off, right? Whether she makes a shvur or not, and I think we had the other one today, right? Or no? Was it the case of the nether, right? When you go ahead and the guy goes off and you pay, then is you lose your money if you basically got into somebody else's business, right? So he says those two cases, halacha kiyetz, but halacha is like him, and shiva dvarim shomer admon, and the 7 things that Admon says ain't halacha kiyetz, but the halacha is not like it. So my kamar, I understand what you're saying. Ile mahachi kamar shnei dvarim shomer chanan halach k'maisav kiyetz like him, and whoever agreed with him. V'shiva dvarim shomer admon ain't halacha k'maisav like kiyetz, but the halacha is not like Admon or those who agree with him. I have Rabbi Yitzchak ben Elazar mishmei dechisa kol makom shomer Rabbi Gamliel roya nias divrei Admon halach k'maisav. Right? The halacha is like Rabbi Gamliel every time he says roya nias divrei Admon. This is what he's saying. The two cases where Chanan says, and then we say over there halach k'maiso. I think it's Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, who was the one who agreed with him in the Mishnayos. So the halacha is like the two of them. Halacha like k'maiso, like Chanan, and Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, who agreed with him. And Shiva Dvar, when it comes to the 7 other cases of Shamar Admon, ein halach k'yetzibo. the halacha is not like he who agrees with him, i.e., Rabbi Gamliel. So the Gemara says, "I hakmaiso halacha, right? Hakmaiso halacha b'kulu." But the halacha is like him in all the cases. But in also Mishmina Chisa, Kol Makom Shamar Rabbi Gamliel Reini Estibri Adma Hakmaiso. The halacha is like him. So Amar in lo Amar lo. Only if you said halacha k'maiso, yes, but the halacha is not k'maiso, then no. So El lo hakikon. That means like this. Shnei dvarim shomer hafkanan halacha k'maiso kiyitzeba. The halacha, both cases of Kana, the halacha is like him, and Rabbi Gonzaga who agreed with him in those mishnayos. And Shiva dvarim, when it comes to the 7 different halachas of Admon, shomer Admon, yesh mehem shalach k'maiso. Sometimes halacha is like him. And the one who is with the Yesh Ben She'ena Chamas. The other times halacha is not like Admon. Elo rather Rabbi Gamliel. Why? Because the Kol Makom Shomer Gamliel Rayin is Divrei Admon Chamaisa Inach Lo. Because anytime when after it says Admon, it says Rabbi Gamliel agrees with him, then it's like Rabbi Gamliel and Admon. But if he doesn't say I agree with Admon, then the halacha is not like Admon. It's with Rabbi Gamliel because he also has Chama. And basically, the cheat sheet is that the first 3 cases we had, right? Rabbi Gamliel came in and says, I agree with Admon. Those 3 cases, halacha ka'admon and Rabbi Gamliel, but the other 4 cases that we're going to do next, which we haven't done yet, are going to be not like Admon because Rabbi Gamliel did not agree with. Right. Zuk the mission.
Really, Rabbi Gamliel is the Gushpanka.
Yes, correct, right. Ha'orer al-sada. Now, one who has claims on a field basically says, hey, this field, which is somebody else's, it's really mine. And oh, by the way, so let's say, okay, Randy, we'll pick you out today, right? So Randy sells a field to Zevi. And I'm claiming that field really was mine. But here's the kicker. On that sale, the sale documents, I'm a witness. I signed the shtar that says, I, Randy, am selling my field to Zevi. And I'm one of the witnesses who signed on it. And I'm claiming that was not Randy's to sell to him, that was mine the whole time. Let's see.
You wrote it.
No, yeah, I was a witness to their transaction, but I said the field was always mine. Let's see why. What's the reason why I can believe like an oirer versus making claims? Why? Because in my mind, Randy is a bully. He's a man of the mafia, and he's a gangbanger. He's a crip, right? And I'm scared of him. I'd rather go to court with Zevi. So therefore, therefore I signed it. Yeah, sure, Randy, you can sell it to him. Sure, let me sign on it. Sure, no problem. So therefore, says Admon, you don't lose your case because I signed on it. You can still go to court with Zevi. Why? Because I have the claim that it was better for me to go to court against Zevi than to go against Randy. No, since he signed on it, basically he's attesting that this field was Randy's. And therefore he signed him, and therefore I lose my position. And also suddenly even as a chusa. Now, in another case, if let's say let's say the field was sold, right? And or whatever it is, and I sign on a shtar, even without even a sale, right? It was never sold. I sign on a shtar that for something else that Ozzy's estate goes up until the fire hydrant in Randy's estate, and I signed for it. So basically, I'm agreeing that fire hydrant is in Randy's estate. I cannot go back and claim, hey, Randy's estate is mine, because I literally have signed a document saying that there's the fire hydrant of Randy's estate. And I don't have a claim of, I wanted the document or the field to be in somebody else's name because it didn't change hands. I'm just attesting to that there's a fire hydrant at Randy's estate, and I'm testing that there is a fire hydrant and it is Randy's estate. And I don't have a claim of, someone else, this is good for me to sign it because of my position. So therefore, Admon would agree in such a case. So Zak the Gemara. 2 lines in the bottom. Amar Abaye lo shana ella 8. Valdayan lo even as a chusa. We're only talking about, right, that if I was a witness, sign on a shtar, right? But if I was a dayan, right, and I was in a case, and they can write psak according to here, yes, this document is a good document, and I didn't was not even as chusa. The Tani Reb Chia ein edim chayis al shtar elim ken karu, because witnesses, when witnesses sign, so they're expected to read everything and they attest to everything. So basically, when they sign at the bottom, they're saying yes, right? This is Randy's field, right? Zevi is giving money to Randy, right? They're attesting to all the facts of the shtar to be true. Aval but judges, right? They don't necessarily, right, are attesting to everything in the shtar. Rather, they're attesting that yes, these indeed are the signatures of these witnesses, and we're going to certify this document that this is a real document. These are the witnesses. We compared their signatures to other cases, so therefore we're going to go ahead and stamp and give you a seal of approval that this is a good shtar. That's all the dayanim are doing. But the dayanim, in that case, unless there's a case of error, right, when someone's going to court and saying, "Hey, this field is mine, or this field is mine," right? But normally, when a document is brought in front of them, they're issuing basically a certificate that of authenticity to this document, and therefore that's all it's doing. But they don't necessarily read all the contents, that all the contents are true. And also similarly, but if it's made as a simon to someone else, then basically the guy doesn't have a claim. Hey, you signed that this is, the fire hydrant is in his estate, so you're admitting it's his estate. Some rabbi shana el liacher, avalayatzmo lo, even as chuso, right? This is only talking about, as I mentioned earlier, a case of when Azi was basically describing his property going up to the fire hydrant in Randy's. And I signed to it, so I don't have any, therefore in that case, I attest to it being his. But if I was writing my own property and I was saying it goes up to the fire hydrant of Randy's estate, right? So then, I have now lost out in my, my ability to go ahead and take him to court. Why? It's Omar, right? So if I would not have gone ahead and signed it, then he would not have sold the other field. I'm buying part of his fields, right? It goes up until this lot line, but he wouldn't have sold it to me if I didn't write it. So therefore, even though I'm admitting, right, in the documents that it goes up to the fire, to the fire hydrant's estate. So that's because I'm trying to purchase the land up until there. If I didn't go ahead and sign that part, he wouldn't have sold the other parts to me in the first place. So therefore, what was I going to do? So right? So what should have done? He should go ahead and basically, make a sign to somebody else. Say, hey, by the way, I'm about to sign this document. It's still a document that it goes up to his lot line, even though the whole thing is really mine. I'm letting you know I'm going to sign it, but I don't agree with it. Right? So why didn't he tell anybody about it? Right? Because if I tell Yigal, basically, hey, listen, I'm going to sign this document. He's telling me the land, part of the land up until the fire hydrant. But it's not really his land in the first place. I just want to at least buy this part. So if I tell you that, then what's the problem? You're going to tell Eddie. Eddie's going to tell Zevin. So there's no Randy, and Randy's going to find out I'm not going to sell it to me. So therefore, I don't even want to go ahead and, tell someone, give them some, inform them, tell them a secret, because then perhaps the secret will get out, they'll get back to the seller, and therefore the whole thing will be nullified. Now, how would the also similarly after? There was a case where someone made a sign in the situation to somebody else, right? An error. And then what happened? Then he made he contested it. The shachiv, right? The ukim apichoko. Right, and then so the guy died, right, and so they appointed an administrator for the estates to take care of the stuff. But I have a claim against one of the lands. So I'm showing the kami the Abaye Samarlei also Simon Leacher. So he said even as Guso, right? So he says no. So he said to him, so if he would have gone ahead and So if he came for him, so he said, since he basically told somebody else that it's chus, so therefore he lost his right. Therefore he has no claims to the land in this case. So he says, if he would have been alive, then right? In other words, I went ahead and I left you something in the field. In other words, if the problem is that the father was not alive over here, so if the father was alive, he could have said, I left you one of the markings. Even though the guy sold the field, but if he has the claim that, yeah, I sold you the field, but I left you, right? I left you something. I left you something else. So since he's Neman, right, to say that he was the one who sold the field, so therefore he's also Neman to say that I left you part of the field. I didn't sell all of it to you. So Zil Havle Mias Telemecha. So that's the case. So then you should at least go ahead and give him one part, from the estate, because you admitted, yeah, I bought the field from him, but I left him out, a little, strip of land. So okay, so go give him that strip of land then. So he says, so Zil Havle Mias Telemecha. So over there was one with palm trees out. He said, but if the father was alive, he would have said, I went back, and yes, I did leave it to him, but I bought it back from him. I don't even have to give it to him now. I bought it back from him. And hearing this, so Abai says, oh, if he says, yes, I bought all the stuff, but I left you one piece. And since I said one piece, and I now believe me when I said that, I also believe me when I said I bought it back. So therefore, since he should be believed to say, I bought it back from him. So therefore, now you have no proof that he didn't go ahead and buy it back from you. So if that's the case, then they shouldn't even have to go ahead and buy anything back. So therefore, Abai basically rewarded the estate to stay with him, and therefore this guy who had Erurim claims came away with nothing. And Amar Abai, and on this Abai says, "Hi man, noikim ki hi." Right? If you're ever going to go ahead and appoint an administrator, get somebody as smart as this guy, because he was able to go ahead and argue, right, claims that the father would have made in order to prevent this person from taking the land. He did it on behalf of the orphans, and therefore they're able to keep the land. So therefore, it pays to get a good administrator for the estate. Fine. Now in Mishnah. Person goes off to Medina Sayam and he lost, right? He comes back after many years or a long time, and there's no longer the path to his field. He says, okay, he gets the shortest path to his field, right? He can go ahead and take it, right? The shortest one, but not the best one, the shortest one. And what's the last place? We have say no. You can go ahead. You want to buy it back? Make a deal with one of the neighbors, whatever price you agree upon. And if they say, hey, unless you overpay, we're not selling it to you, then you better learn how to fly, because you don't have any right to any of the paths to your field. So he says. Now, I'm sorry. It used to be like a path to walk to his field, and now basically it's they planted over it. There's no longer a path. There's no longer, right. There's no sidewalk to his property. So my time of the Rabbanan. What's the reason according to the Rabbanan that the guy obviously had a path to his field before, and we just don't know where the path is? So my time of the Rabbanan, Shabir Kamar Amos is saying, good, at least give me the shortest path. I don't have to go all the way through, but the direct path. We're talking about a case of the guy he's in the middle, and he has 4 different owners on each side. So each owner will say, okay, I get the shortest way to that field. He says, what are you coming to me? It wasn't my field, it was on the other guy's field. So he goes to the other guy's field. He goes to number 2. So it wasn't my field. This was my other guy's field. So now he's go back to 1, 3, or 4. And so each person could push up and say, prove it to me it was in my field. Otherwise, get the heck out of here. If that's the case, my time at Admon was supposed to go to Admon. Samarava, the Arba, the Asmi Koyach Arba. If it's 4 different people who came from 4, in other words, it was always 4 fields, or the Arba, the Asmi Koyach, or now that there's 4 owners of fields who all purchased it from the same guy who owned it before. So those cases, Kuli Amalei Pligi, no one disagrees. The Matzi Matchile, they could all push him off. They said, it wasn't part of my field, it was the other field. Kipligi went to the argue, when one person bought from 4 different people, right? So he owns all the fields now, right? So in this case, either way, whatever you look at it, my pathway crosses through your field. I don't know if it's field 1, 2, 3, or 4, but it's in your. You owe me a path to my field, which is field 5, which is in the middle, and therefore I'll take one of them. Select which one you want me to go through. But I'm going through. Rabbanan, who say basically you can go either pay me an exorbitant price or take a hike. Rabbanan Sabri, right? If you're quiet and you don't cause any trouble and you pay the amount, then it's fine. And if not, I'll just return to the fields for the people who I bought it from, all 4 of them. Then you'll really be out of luck, right? Because you're not going to be able to go ahead and force one of them to sell you a path. So therefore, the one person is able, according to Rabbanan, make the claim that, hey, since I bought 4 different people and neither one of them you could have forced to sell, to make you a path. So therefore, I'm not going to make you a path unless you pay me, way above market. So there was certain a person said to his Yorshim, I guess his future, those who were going to inherit him, Dikla Labras. So and then a palm tree goes to, I guess, his daughter, right? So Aziyase, Pluge the Nichse. So in this case, they went ahead and they divided up. So they didn't give her any sort of palm tree, right? So let's say it's 4 brothers. Let's say it's 4 brothers. There's one girl. Okay, you guys owe me a palm tree, right? So some of you say the name of Hainamas Nisan. This is the case of our Mishnah. The case of our Mishnah, right, is if there's 4 people, so either one could say, oh yeah, your palm trees and your brothers, right? Go to Reuben, go to Shimon, go to Levi, go to Yehuda. She's being pushed around. So just like in our case, you can't prove which one it was. Over here, they all owned the estate before it was divvied up. So therefore, they all owed her a palm tree. So therefore, she has a right, to go ahead and collect a palm tree from the entire estate. So So what's the fairest way? You can't just give a palm tree from one of their past. So therefore, put it all back together, right? There's one, let her take the palm tree, and then divide it after that. Fine. Side question, person says a palm tree to my daughter. So he died. Shavik trey palge the dikla. And he had 2 half palm trees, right? Exactly, 2 half palm trees. I guess they're smaller. Oh no, they're owned in shutfus. They're owned in partnerships, right? The partners in palm trees, right? Percentage, yeah. Today, I remember thinking like, what was 2 of that? I remember this in the Rashi of shutfus, right? So he said, "How he was wondering, mikari ichi the trey palge dikla, right? Do people call a palm tree or 2 half palm trees a palm tree, right? In other words, yeah, because 50% plus 50% is 1. So he says, hey, I'll give her a palm tree, meaning the 2 half, entities he has, although or not, or maybe he says one that he owned 100%. Yes, indeed, people call 2, I guess they call 2 trees, half trees, and therefore I guess they would, in this case, that she would get, a palm tree would be 2 half trees, also be considered to be a palm tree is 2 halves. All right, we'll stop here. We officially caught up. So it looks like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Because I prepared to, give time to you be in time for davening.